Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to continue our build of the Back to the Future DeLorean car with issue number 11. For starters, issue number 11 comes with the full-size out-of-time license plate that goes on the back of the real car. You get this if you are one of the first 1,985 subscribers to this build, and I was. So I got one. So I just thought I would show that on camera. Put that over there. So let's get to work. For those of you that are following this build, in issue 10, if you recall, I had some issues with the wheels being a little rickety. I posted something on the DeLorean build Facebook page regarding this issue, and it sounds like a lot of other people have had this issue as well. They said the only way to fix it is to add extra washers into the wheels here, and that will make them nice and snug. Extra washers did not come with this thing, number one, and number two, once you get this DMC cap on there, these are incredibly hard to pop off. Since this is just going to be a display piece, and it's not radio control or anything, and I don't have to worry about driving it around the house, if the wheels are a little bit rickety, that's not really an issue for me. As long as it can sit on a stand and look nice, I'm going to be pretty happy with it. So I'm not going to mess with that any further. But I just thought I would bring that up since that was an issue with the last episode. So here we are with issue 11. Today we're going to be building the engine support section plus some connecting rods. So here's the steps we're going to be covering in this episode. And then some more production diary notes on where they were filming at Whittier High School. Whittier High School sounds very, very familiar to me. I think I either knew somebody that went there or somebody that lived in that town. But that name seems to ring a bell for me for whatever the reason. And here's a small article on Eric Stoltz, who is going to play Marty McFly, as pretty much everybody knows by now. And then some articles on the inside of the time machine. And an article on Biff, plus what we've got going on the next issue, which is going to be the left rear axle. So, without further ado, let's get started. This one comes with a lot of screws, first off, and they're very, very small. So it looks like we're probably going to be using our screwdriver that we got with issue 1, not the one we got in issue 10. I went ahead and marked them in case we get more screwdrivers in the future. So I'm going to be using this one for this particular issue, I'm pretty sure anyway. So let's get cracking. Oh, and I've also got my handy dandy tweezers that I have in each episode because I've got such an issue with the itty bitty little screws. So we've got this piece here. And that piece. And that piece for starters. So it looks like we've got a line here on each side and then one without a line. And it looks like that's where these pieces are going. So, based on the shape here, it looks like this is going to pop in just like that. And then we're going to secure it. And the same thing for the other side. These two pieces, for all practical purposes, are identical. So we got one on each side there. And it looks like we're going to be driving two screws in through the side here first before we do anything else. They're going in with DM screws, which are the itty bitty ones that I was mentioning earlier. Hopefully they gave us some spares. They're usually pretty good about that. Although so far I haven't needed them. I've been saving all the screws that I haven't used in each episode just in case I am a little short later. I would suggest that you do the same. So here's my itty bitty little screws with my itty bitty little screwdriver. Now, as you can see, this piece moves a little bit, so I'm going to keep this screw loose so that I can get the screw in through the side and then tighten it down. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so we got this secure but a little rickety, and this one's secure but a little rickety. So we'll move on to the next step, where we are taking these two pieces here. And it looks like these are pretty much identical. So the picture is not showing this little section right here. So I'm not quite sure how these are supposed to go in. They're going to need to line up with the holes here. Which means it needs to either go in here or here. Either way you put these in, it's not going to look like the picture. So that could potentially be a problem. Okay, well, if you look at the future steps here, looks like it's got a little kink here, just like this one has a little kink. So hopefully this is the way it goes in. Won't know until we get a little bit further in the build, unfortunately. These are being put in with the HM screws, which are the bigger screws. We may need the bigger screwdriver for these. Looks like we've got one spare, unless we need it later. Okay, so this is going to go through the hole on the side here. This thing really does not want to go in there. It's going in very slowly. Okay, once again, for the time being, I'm going to leave these a little bit loose because I'm not really sure where we're going with these pieces here, or even if it's put in properly. So we're going to wait on that for a little bit. In the meantime, we'll get the other one put in. There's some sections of this thing that it just feels like you need to have 4 hands to do, which is really annoying. Okay, looks like I got it. It's going in. Okay, and again, I'm going to leave that a little bit loose, just in case. But it's identical on both sides, so at least we got it that far, and it looks relatively close to what we got here. So hopefully that's going to be correct. Okay, on to the next step. Looks like we're going to be using this one, or maybe this one. Yeah, looks like it's going to go over that right there. Now, if this is the way it goes on, which I'm pretty sure it is, this screw here we were no longer going to be able to get to. So I have no choice but to tighten it at this point, and just hope that we're doing this correctly. One of the nice things about having YouTube videos is anybody who watches this will be able to learn from my mistakes and hopefully avoid these pitfalls during your own build. Okay, those two are tight. These two I still have the option of loosening up, even with this piece on top. So I'm going to leave those loose still. And those are going to go on with 2 itty-bitty screws. And based on the diagram here, I'm pretty confident that this piece is going on correctly, so I'm going to go ahead and get this one nice and tight. Not too tight, though, until I get the other one on there, just so they can both be flush before I tighten them down. Okay, got that one tight. And got that one tight. And it looks exactly like it does in the diagram. So I think we're on the right track. And then we're basically going to do the same thing to the other side with the same screws. Got some more itty-bitty screws coming out here. This particular issue has a lot of screws, but not a whole lot of other pieces. Oh, almost forgot to tighten that other screw down. Okay. We still have the option here of removing these if we have to. Hopefully we won't have to. So this piece is going to go on exactly like the other one did. Got one. that one tight. And got that one tight. So here's what we have so far. Pretty much identical on both sides. This one seems to have some kind of gap right there. This one does not have that, so I'm not sure what's going on with this piece. Maybe it needs to be tightened a little bit more. Just want to be careful not to strip them out. Okay, that got rid of the gap, so it looks like we're good. Okay, moving on to the next step. We have these two pieces here. And it looks like they're just going to put over the panel we just put in with another DM screw, just one. And again, I'm pretty confident in the placement of these. So I'm going to go ahead and get these nice and tight. Hopefully these are correct. But again, if they're not, we're only going to have to take off just one screw a piece. So that won't be too bad. If you look in this diagram here, we have two holes here. This one only has one. This one only has one. That may come back and bite us later, but hopefully not. I guess we'll find out. I know Eagle Moss has made some modifications during the build to some of the pieces that builders were having a problem with. So hopefully that's just something that they improved on and not something that they just forgot. Time will tell. I've been pretty diligent with following other people's builds on the Build the Delorean Facebook page, where we've got like 800 members or something like that building these things. Most of them are from the UK, and they got like a 9-month head start on us over here in the States. So they're quite a bit further along in the build than I am. So hopefully I can use their knowledge and guidance with my own build. But I have seen quite a few people on there that have had faulty pieces, or they simply didn't get the pieces at all. So they've called Eagle Moss and gotten the problem fixed. So hopefully by the time those pieces get shipped over here to the States, there are a lot fewer problems with the build. This piece isn't wanting to go in for whatever the reason. Maybe I don't have it lined up. Oh, there we go. I don't think I had it lined up just right. Let's try that again. There it goes. Again, we're getting these nice and tight because I'm 99% certain that we're on the right track here. Okay, so we've got this piece all screwed in and this piece all screwed in, and it's looking good so far. Moving on to the next page. Looks like we're going to be putting it onto the frame at this point, so I've got my car frame handy here, and it looks like it's going on the back, or yeah, this should be the back, and it looks like it's going to be going on right over. Maybe this way. There we go. Okay, this should be the way that it goes on. Again, we still don't know about these, but if this is the way that it's going to go on, we're in a position where we can still get at those screws if we have to. And it looks like the screws are going to be drilled in, coming in from the other side. So this should be fun. Fortunately, we have the weight of the car to help us on this one instead of hinder us. You can see there's a little nub in here that should be going into these holes on either side. Lining that up, I think, is going to be a bit of a challenge. Okay, got that side. And got that side. Okay, it's in. And it wants us to put those in with 4 DM screws. But now it's in its little notches, it's almost just sitting there by itself, so this shouldn't be too hard. Get the other one in and get that one nice and snug afterwards. Now, for those of you not familiar with this build, somewhere down the road we were supposed to get some kind of awesome display stand for this thing as well. Some of the guys in the UK already have it, and it is pretty awesome. There's even like little plaques and stuff you can get for it to customize it afterwards if you like. So I cannot wait to see this thing when it's done and just how spectacular it's going to look. But most of the people in the UK that are quite a bit further into the build are still working on the seats and all the electronics that are inside the car and all of that stuff. I have not seen a single person that has a completed model yet. So we are quite a ways from that. But to be honest, this is a pretty fun build, and now that we've got the frame and the car is starting to actually come together, it's a little bit more interesting and exciting. It's also a nice countdown for me, because when this car is completed, I will have my house paid off. So it's kind of a way to keep me motivated and keep moving forward. Alright, that's in there nice and snug. And we are done. This is what the completed product should look like so far. So, with that in mind, these are still loose. Not sure what we're going to be doing with these. We might find out next issue. Whenever we do, I will either remove these or tighten them down, depending on what's coming up. So just something to keep in mind there. You might want to keep these screws here loose. But anyway, that's it for this build, and we'll see you guys next time.